really big.
Hey, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm Andrea, and today I wanted to talk about the essentials. The essential of a life, watering. I wanted to really jump into helping you, the aspiring plant parent, learn some tips and tricks on how to keep your plants alive and thriving. Maybe you're an aspiring plant parent who is super nervous about bringing a plant home because you kill everything that comes into your home, plant-wise that is. But this is really going to be for you. You might even be a plant parent that's heading on vacation or looking for some tips and tricks to make sure your plants are still alive when you get back. So come on, let's jump into it. I'm going to show you some cool ways to water your plants. Hey, okay, new angle here. All right, before we jump on our journey to water our plants, there are a few things to take with you. First things first, you'll need a watering can. Ooh. The watering can you're going to want to take with you should really have a thin spout. As you see here, this has a thin spout, and it's really easy to water house plants when you have to get through the leaves and right to the roots. I really do encourage you to really consider a can that is easy on the eyes that you'll enjoy using. And if you have more than one level in your home or it's very, very wide, I would recommend to have more than one can conveniently located. And honestly, it's a cute decor piece for when you're wanting to keep it out, and a great reminder to go water your plants. Some scissors. So these are plant scissors, spears, what are they called? Shears. And of course, easy on the eyes. I like to enjoy my process here because you're going to give yourself a chance to check in on your plants, see if there's any leaves that you need to cut down, or if you feel like propagating at the moment, you'll be ready to go. Next, you definitely want to bring some fertilizer. This is just a store-bought fertilizer, and I do recommend to fertilize your plants. And a moisture meter. A moisture meter is really for those who are still learning their plant watering needs. It takes all the guesswork out of it. I think this one is just from a big box store, but this does actually have different levels in there that you can take a look. You could do for moisture, light, pH level. I literally just use it for the moisture, which we're going to show some examples of. This really still comes in handy even after you become a plant expert, let's say, for your really big potted plants, because they don't need to be watered as often, but you don't want to miss it. And if you're like me, you're going to need some tea towels. Just in case you spill, make a mistake, it's nice to know you can kind of clean it up in the moment and not have to go back. All right, come on over, let's water some plants. But the first thing you want to do is you want to pick your plant up. So this plant is not a nursery pot, so I'm just picking it up in its terracotta pot. And you want to feel it. You're going to get used to understanding how heavy your plant is when it's watered. So this is the moments you check. Like right here, I have some spare beans that have fallen out that I'm going to just get rid of here. And if there's something else on, giving myself an opportunity to make sure that there's no pests on here and that it's nice and clean the way I want it to look. So that's a nice little start there. And then you do take your watering can that you already filled with water, and you're going to just water rather slowly, but starting from the middle, depending on what type of soil you have, you'll see how quickly it drains. So as you see, this one doesn't drain as quickly. So I'm gonna actually pause here, make sure that I can watch the water level go down, and wait till it hits the bottom. You really want to water your plants thoroughly. So this will actually reduce how often you have to water your plants. But as I wait for it to go down, it's going to hopefully make it to the bottom there. I was being a little conservative. I do want it to make it all the way to the bottom, so I know I have watered it thoroughly. The other challenge that you might run into is overwatering and it kind of spills out the bottom. You want to have cover pots for nursery pots, or you want them to have a drainage hole. So in this case, this one does have a drainage hole, and as you see, there's a little bit of water. I think I kind of watered it perfectly there, and I can actually leave that water in there. I'm totally okay with this because this plant is so close to the window that I'm expecting that it's going to kind of suck up that water. And because it's actually, the bottom doesn't really fit the top here, it doesn't actually sit in water. It's just kind of hovering over it. So I can expect that this will do well, and I won't need to water it for maybe another week or weakness. I don't know, don't tell my other plants, but I think this is my favorite genus. This is called the Princess, I do believe, the tricolored princess. And this plant is really immature, meaning it's super, super young still, but I did keep it in its nursery pot. And oh boy, when I feel this, I can feel that it is very, very light and in need of watering. But I did actually throw it into a pot that is okay to actually pot directly into there, but I really like to keep them in nursery pots since I like to switch out my plants and my pots from time to time. So this one, as you see, there's a bottom there. Oh, it's totally IKEA buy. And we're going to water this. As you see, it's a little hard to get in here, and that's why you're looking to have a watering can that has a thin spout. Oopsie, as you see, I drip water already. It's very typical. And I'm going to kind of move the leaves just a little bit, just so ever so slightly, and start watering best that I can. It's not perfect, but because this was dried up, it needs to get super soaked right now. So I'm gonna kind of take the time here. At the same time, checking out the leaves, and it does kind of need a rinse under the sink. I won't do that now, but I will definitely remember to do that soon. So I feel like that's enough water. I like to lift it up, right? If you see how heavy it feels. Oh, that's way heavier than when I picked it up. And whoa, there is a bunch of water at the bottom now. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to leave it. I'm going to leave that water in there for now. And as you see, it's actually trying to come out the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of soak it up just a little. And I'm going to let it go because that was so dry that I know that the bottom will start being used as like a watering tray because it's not actually sitting directly in that water. So that's a huge keynote. Understand that a nursery pot cannot sit directly in water. You don't want it to do that. In this case, it's not going to because it's a little bit shorter than the pot that I have it in. Okay, I do actually need to. I need to fix this. So I did overwater it, which is fine. Obviously this happens. So I'm actually gonna run it to the sink and fix my overwatering. I do need to add a little bit of fertilizer. I do about kind of half diluted here. And I'll run it to the sink. So it is not a perfect plant when you look up close. So it is really in need of some water, but I right away can see that some of these leaves, I could just pull them out, looks like, have really dried up. And I want to take a moment to clean it up, give it a little haircut, which I've definitely done. I kind of left it downstairs, forgot it was here for a while. But then I just lift up the nursery pot. This nursery pot is super light too. So what's nice about a cover pot is after I water it, I can actually just kind of go bring this to the sink and know that I'm not gonna make a huge mess everywhere. Really another benefit of those cover pots. I like to water thoroughly. It's fast draining, so it's going to definitely make it to the bottom there. And I'll check on it in a few minutes. It is a vining plant and it has amazing speckles and very succulent-like leaves. And it's hard to get in there for watering. So keeping it in a nursery pot might be essential for us. And because it is kind of high up on a shelf for me, I don't want to come back to water it too often, or I don't have to take it down to water it as often. I kind of want to water it in its space. I actually like to bottom water this. So as you see, I do have some beautiful pebbles in there, little rocks. And when I'm going to water, I do try to bottom water. Oops, I'm out of water already. But I do like to bottom water because this will be able to suck it up. And then, because it's kind of hard to get on the top, so I'm getting it from both angles here. I'm not gonna actually water it like I did previously. I'm just gonna maybe put a little bit of water on the top, but it should actually suck up the water from where the pebbles are. And as it sits there, it's not going to actually be sitting in water. The pebbles will be able to keep the water intact. A space where I can see that there's space to make it right to the dirt and avoid the leaves. I do actually take this down from the shelf from time to time just because it gets dusty, and it is like my prized possession, so I don't want the leaves to get too dusty. So I do actually wash it right under the sink. The Stromanthe Triostar. Look at this beauty. It's really cute when you don't look too close. It has quite a bit of pink and variegation in it. It's really an easy plant to find. I would not call this low maintenance. It definitely likes a little bit more water than most house plants. It likes a lot of humidity too. But this plant I like to keep, like I said, in most of my plants I want to keep in their nursery pot so I can actually lift them up, feel them. Also take a peek at the root system. If there's roots starting to pop out, like in this case, just a little bit, it might be time to up pot. I really like to let them be root bound. I find houseplants are happier the more root bound they are. Until they're kind of like bursting out of their pot, then you can definitely up pot it. But keeping them in their nursery pots is really going to help you determine really if they're dry or not. And also, like I said, I mean, it's pretty when you look at it kind of quickly, but when you start looking at the details, there are some crispy leaves here. I put it in some more direct light for the last week and it has not reacted well. This is a low light plant, so I'm just going to take a moment and just kind of cut the leaves. I like to cut them into the shape that the leaf is, just to make it a little easier on the eyes. And if there's a leaf that you really don't like anymore, you can just cut it off completely. But hey, I'm making it kind of get back to growth. Look there. I don't know how much of that you can actually see. And then I also get to see some new growth coming in, which is awesome. And then a little bit more crispy leaves I'm gonna just cut off. I mean, this has quite a few leaves, so I don't feel bad cutting some of them. And really I'm going to encourage it to have a little bit more growth since I'm cutting it up. Make sure that you don't have any pest problems. There's nothing creeping and crawling in here. And it is a little dusty. I would definitely bring it to this sink next time. Because when you're watering, you don't need to water the leaves. You really just need to get to the root system. And once again, having that thin spout is really going to help you get through the jungle that you have here. And you want to start a little bit slow, and you want to water it thoroughly. I know I've said that, but I like to make sure I'm completing that idea. And then you want to rotate the plant. I'm going through the sides on this one. You can start anywhere you'd like, but you want to get the full top soil. You want it all soaked on the top. You want it to be even. You have to be fair for watering. Oh, but I think I already spilled some. Great. Hiding that towel is super helpful. And now you want to give it an extra second, make sure it soaks to the bottom. And then you are going to have some make it to the bottom of the pot. Really not a huge deal for this one, just because it does like a little bit of humidity, a little extra water, and it's not actually touching the bottom of the pot. Here is our beloved, famous fiddle leaf fig. I actually bought this from Aldi. I could not resist for the price. And it's actually a tree form, which is really crazy to see. Usually when they're in a tree form, they're of course much taller, cost way more money. But because this one was so short, I'm really paying for the gift of time here. But these are a pretty hard to care for plant, I would say. So I like to just check here for any sort of issues it might be having. Like, I have no idea what that is. It does come, they do tend to be issue based for me. But I have quite a bit of room down here to water. So before I water it, I want to check if it needs to get watered. Because I feel like I watered it recently, but hey, I got a ton of plants. I can't always remember. So we're on the moisture part, and then we're going to try in more than one spot to make sure it truly is moist. Oh yeah, see, it's on the moist level. I could or don't have to water it, but I like to play on the safe side, and I'll just wait till next time. And I'll just try one more spot to make sure it's an accurate reading. See, a little less moist over here, so it really wasn't evenly watered. Yeah, you know what? I actually could totally water this. So I won't have to water as much in this area. I'll water around. So let's keep rolling. I'll just switch up my watering cans. It's nice to have variety. Oh, if only I was right-handed so I could show you. Oh! So I could show you what I'm doing. Yikes, okay. So we need our tea towels. If you're someone like me, time to water the Calathea Orbifolia. This is in the prayer plant family, so it does like extra humidity, a little bit more frequent watering, and I do kind of have it out of its cover pot and just in its nursery pot to show you, but I usually keep this one in a basket. I love to take a peek at all the new growth that's happening. Woohoo! Look at all of that. Just stunning. And I actually had just cut this because I took a photo of it. There is going to be brown tips on there. This is a plant that's known to look pretty when you look at it kind of quickly, like all prayer plants. And then when you look close, you start seeing a little bit of brown edges. You know, I can actually just cut that brown edge. I like to cut it a little bit rounder. Ta-da! And so then we'll get to watering the dirt. So this is a pretty fast draining soil in general, so I have not up potted it all. This is the soil it came in. I kind of trust the greenhouse that gave it to me for what type of soil it's in, but if it's a fast draining soil, you want to really go slow with watering because it's just going to go right through the bottom and not make it anywhere. But if it does make it to the bottom like it does here, you can let it sit in water for just a little bit if it's not too much and it is, let's say, a humidity loving plant. You could put little pebbles right at the bottom too, so it's not directly sitting in water. And if this is in a more brightly lit area, it could of course be absorbed much quicker by the plant. Oh, it's just so pretty. It is just growing like crazy for me. Here's the original one I bought. These are not propagated, but my goodness, this one is just struggling. So if you're gonna buy one of these plants, I actually recommend to get a bigger one because I don't have much left to show on this. Look at this Peperomia. It is so pretty. I mean, it's definitely a vining plant. When I bought it, I did not think it was a vining plant. And honestly, it's so easy to care for. I'll write the name right on the screen here. But I love it because it's just kind of crawling out and it's a really nice display item or display pot. And I do have it straight in terracotta when I was super into terracotta for a hot minute. And it's actually a cute terracotta pot, not like the usual ones that you see. And I did couple it with an air plant in here, giving it a little bit of a roommate. And I do find that it needs a little bit more frequent watering than the Peperomia itself. So when I'm watering in the terracotta pot, remember I like to lift them up first. I did actually recently water this. And you want to make sure it has a saucer at the bottom, right? And anytime you want to directly pot a plant into a pot, you want to make sure it has a drainage hole, and then you need to have a saucer at the bottom. It better have a drainage hole if it's not in a cover pot. So this Peperomia I have up potted a few times, and maybe I'm going to propagate it too. I'm not quite sure how it would propagate, but why not try? So I'll just water it a little bit more, just for display purposes here. But I do like to water the air plant first, and it goes through it. Voila, and you know what? Let's pull some junk out of here, make this look pretty again. A little bit of dead plants. They are good for fertilization in all honesty, but hey, not so cute either. That's why I like to use fertilizer, because I'm not going to wait for the plant leaves to die and fertilize themselves. They do suck up all the nutrients that are in their pots, and in the real world they get all this extra juice from around them, and in this case I have to give them a little something to keep them looking. Stromanthe Magic Star. So it's the sister of the Triostar you just saw, but it's a lot more green. So I did purchase this in a 6-inch pot, expecting it to be, you know, not a 4-inch plant, but hey, that's why I don't like to buy plants online. But when, of course, I feel like I watered it pretty recently, so I like to lift it up, right? See how it feels and see if how the root system's doing. Looks like there isn't much because I'm pretty confident they literally put a 4-inch plant into a 6-inch pot. Could have done that myself and paid for a 4-inch, but either way, it's nice and heavy, but let's check its watering level. Maybe I'm still not used to this one and gotta check its watering levels. Make sure I show you here. Oh yeah, that is good to go. So though I actually kind of thought it was debatable, I'm not gonna touch it. Not gonna touch it at all. Here is a marble pothos. You've probably seen this at your grandma's house. Look at this. This actually started off as a propagation, so free plant, yay! And I do have it actually directly in a terracotta pot with a basket over it. And these are so drought tolerant. If you do want to get your first vining plant and are paranoid, you could start with this one. I don't think it's that exciting of a plant, but hey, at least you can try it out and know that maybe you could even take a cutting from somebody, put that baby in water. Maybe I'll show that to you in a video actually too. But look at that. It just is, oh, it's just, look at how long it's getting. And you could actually tell by the leaves if it needs a watering. It starts actually kind of looking a little laggy and the leaves feel a little bit thinner or not filled with water as much. But like I keep preaching, I want you to lift it up. Oh yeah, this is super, super light. So though it's in a terracotta pot, see, and it has a drainage hole and inside of a basket, there's all this protection for this one. Going right directly into the dirt. Oopsie. Low light situation, you will not have to water as often. Oh, it's gonna just come right back to life, maybe even on camera. Here is my bunny ears cactus. I do keep it in a terracotta pot right at the window in a basket. I think it looks super cute this way. I did buy it last season and it's been growing like crazy. It's even flowered for me. So cactuses do really love some direct light and they can take some drought. And speaking of drought, I'm in a drought. I gotta go get some more water. All right, so definitely don't want to touch any of these leaves, but you do want to water around it. So the open space I'm watering in, and I wanted to make it throughout the entire plant. I didn't even lift this one up. I mean, it just is in such direct light that I know it's needing a little extra water, and I haven't watered it in a while. And you know, it looks so good for how much I have not watered it recently. I kind of forget about it because I'm always like, oh, it's a cactus, it can wait. I'm gonna water just a little bit more because I do have it in almost way too big of a pot. I've learned my lesson on up potting. I was so excited about my plants growing that I thought they all need bigger pots. And now I've learned they really like to be root bound a little bit. So they're actually gonna give you push out a little bit more growth if you have them in smaller pots. Hey, thanks so much for watering plants with me. Whatever else you wanna see, let me know. Let me know what you think of this video. If you have questions or concerns or want to see me water some more plants, I do it all the time. So really stay on a watering schedule of some sort. You don't have to have like an app or anything. You could try an app, I guess, if you wanted, but an app's really not going, we're still app based. I mean, just go take a moment to check out your plants. If you're sitting there watching TV and your plant's right there, just pick it up, right? See what's going on. And if you would like to see more of these videos, why don't you let me know? I'd love to talk to you again. Bye.